did have an issue where someone called me for information, an attorney, and she called for information, and I was just,
Oh, you can always refer them to me if you don't have the answer.
well, thankfully I called. When I called, and I just, was gonna try to squeak my way through it because I don't want to ignore the call.
Yeah.
And I guess Pete must have given her the answers, but I was just like, oh no, this is gonna start happening.
What?
What meeting are we in?
This is planning board tonight.
Oh, so I get to sit in the riffraff section?
You can sit wherever, you can sit wherever you can
All
find
right,
a
I
place
can
to
do that
sit.
too, no.
Yeah.
It says planning board zoning.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
we've
know
been
how
doing
to do
joint
that.
meetings. Officially, this is the planning board night,
Yeah,
so I
that's
let
fine.
Pete run the meeting.
Slow down with these chairs.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to.
Falling apart.
Yeah.
I got one that's probably as old as I am.
So, there you go.
You wanna be there, Deb, or you wanna be on this corner?
I think I can see everything.
All right.
Do you want to?
No. Did I need it?
Yeah, don't steal that paper clip. Perfect. We're being watched, and whoever steals that paper clip's gonna be in trouble.
Might cost the town a cent.
I called the free car. It's all that movie, I flipped it over. That's pretty good.
Been busy last 2
They
weeks.
say,
3
they're
weeks.
telling people,
Then I made a phone call, kept me up all night.
are they too bad?
You
They're
can
not
see
to
that.
throw them away like at Halloween and stuff, leave them out in the woods.
I got thrown off for one. Made one comment, one didn't say anything.
Oh, yeah, no,
It's town
I
or
was thinking
something.
just,
About 5 cars.
They take one regular street, whatever.
I think I read that, one of them.
Overnight success.
well, the one
It's a
time,
suggestion.
Yeah,
but it was clear.
that's why I have this.
You see the whole thing.
I only just a few minutes ago, so
You don't realize this is comprehensive plan, spent 15 years, we just got started.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Back in. And you should see.
That's a bit, you know.
somebody bad gallbladder.
No, I said it to my son, guess what this is? He says, bowling ball. I go, no, I think I had it in my pocket.
You took a picture?
Took a picture of the sun, must have been
Oh,
the fabric.
Will it fit there?
They come up
I
with
just
this.
want to make sure I hear everything.
Let's see.
We got our technical advisor here.
I'm not much of a technical advisor.
And are you gonna voice record the thing?
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. We'll have 2 copies of it then.
Yeah,
Right.
that's good. It relieves some of the out there people thinking.
He was yours, Jess.
No, I graduated with Jess.
Jesse.
Yeah. I was wondering how old he was.
And then-
I don't remember in school, but that's why.
Yeah.
We went in as a freshman, he was
Yeah, he was 80.
Yeah.
Jesse was 84.
Mhm.
Besides,
You can, if there's a picture over here, camera here somewhere. Go right here, the first one.
This one.
Nope.
You learn how to use a computer. You gotta be better than that.
Into this one or this one?
Yes. And then
Oh.
yeah,
and see if there's a camera app in here.
Well, you can either camera app or you can find a voice recorder. Look for voice
Well, I
recorder.
got the voice recorder.
Okay.
I'm just, instead of saying, I'm sorry, what's your name, I'm sorry, what's your name, I'm sorry, what's your name? I'd be
Will
able to-
photo booth do video?
You might work with that for a few times.
No idea.
It's
Try
just-
It's just,
Go
I'm
to
just-
photo booth.
It's just part of it, you know?
it is, I know, I understand.
Mac software, just a little besides me. So Jeez.
Get out of Grand Poobah's chair.
Yeah, I'm looking at myself, I know who I am.
They sold out, so that's always a good
It's gotta be
sign.
able to book this.
Libraries are pretty active this year.
Camera only facing one direction.
And that would be
I think it's kind of open.
derogatory towards anybody, but it's like, holy cow.
Yeah, it was pretty sleepy.
I might have to just ask.
And that's, they
I might do what
No,
you
no,
guys
this
like.
was this afternoon.
You know, and it's good to start out with
Just
let's be confident, we're there.
Oh.
We're fine.
Your dad catch you up in the parking lot?
Like,
No.
we'll talk.
Carl, pull him in.
He was asking to use the main Wi-Fi so he can broadcast.
Yeah, it's like kids, we used to
He
play
had no
on
right to use town
fields in our
resources.
house.
He could bring his camera in, if everyone with his own
I
stuff.
said, you guys bring
Wants to broadcast it live, you can set up the
What are we gonna do? And I said, we're gonna go over play baseball.
Oh, I love seeing you do this.
What I brought tonight.
The kids didn't bring any sneakers, they're running around in socks. And there's more
She's about,
socks.
yeah, for you.
Yeah, we ain't got
We have a
nothing.
forum right now.
Everybody takes their dog for a walk.
Oh, yes, they do.
Okay.
Nobody picks it up, so we go over that ball field.
These are the three environmental assessment forms. I converted them from the draft copies that I have, so I've got these with the final. And this is that thing I was reading at the last meeting about our determination. I made a bunch of copies, but I re-edited it, put everything that matches on there, so we could entertain a motion to adopt this as our determination and to attach it to the environmental assessment forms. And I think there's one of them we have to sign. It's the thing that if we do that, that would be
Yeah, but
awesome.
the calendar, the town calendar.
And I got a message back from Matt, said, yeah, we can add the roads to the map.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Right.
Yeah, that I think.
Yeah, next week.
Now, one of the things I was thinking,
Well, it was next week is jump up and slash.
That's why you're here?
Yeah. Well, I didn't figure out was gonna ask you, so.
yeah, because send it out to the zoning board, planning board, and to Diane, I know she got it. Charlie got it.
We're gonna run the order to 2 cameras removed.
Yeah, I asked him, and he just took off.
Yep.
What are you doing with the town told you to do something?
Were the minutes approved from, or are you gonna approve them tonight for August?
I don't have the August minutes from us.
Yeah, we don't have, the planning board will not have an August, because we did not have an August meeting. We had a combined meeting with the zoning board. So whatever night we meet on is usually that.
Yeah, in fact, we deleted last month's meeting, so it's just the one for the zoning board, That's, if you go look on the town website, that's posted up there. I've got it marked. I will email you a copy of the text, so
That
you'll
just
have
helps
that.
if
But
some.
we won't take that up until next week when the zoning board meets.
So this is July's minutes. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna hand that to you, and that way it'll be in.
I've got July's.
Oh, you did it off of the.
Yeah, I
There
grabbed
there were
those,
a couple on the website. I posted a couple of, just basically, that we approved last meeting.
but, no.
I sent those to Len and he put them on the website. And I don't know if you saw, I sent him a final draft of the zoning ordinance based on all of Matt's comments that I incorporated. And he has a copy of that that Matt brought last month.
Right now.
Now, what I was thinking of doing, given how fast I took he'll respond, I have the one that I made up, that's
How do you
got
take care of
the
it?
topo map and stuff on it. It's a match to what they've
You did
got.
all right.
The only thing I have to do is show the RC zone for Standish Street.
Yeah.
And I think maybe if we get all this done tonight, I would use that map to go over to the county. Because I didn't have everything I needed for the 239, so I hope to get that over to them this week.
Back time when you use the restroom.
Yeah.
And it's that way, right?
No, women's is that.
Yours is that way.
There he is. Peter, we can start now.
Is this chair taken?
Nope.
Okay.
I got 4.
We got 5.
Justin, are you on planning or are you on zoning?
He's playing,
Oh,
yeah.
you're a turncoat.
Did you leave us?
Huh?
No, I never was on zoning, I was always on
Oh, I
zoning.
thought he was.
Well, we've been having so many joint meetings, you must have just
It's hard to remember who's on what board.
Yeah.
Pete, you're on zoning, right?
I am on planning.
Planning, okay.
Yeah, so we got 5 now. We got a,
Quorum.
yeah, we have
More
a
than,
quorum.
all we need is 4 for a quorum.
Oh,
That doesn't mean you get to leave.
does that mean like, is this like the Supreme Court, you just keep adding people? Do you get what you want?
Well, the interesting thing is, if you read the general municipal law, you have to have a quorum to do business. You have to have a majority of the board pass any resolution or anything else. And that's not the members who are there, it's of the entire board. Both of these boards are 7 members. So without 4, you can't have a quorum.
Right.
But if somebody brings something up and they want something passed, and there's only 4 members here, they gotta have all 4 people vote aye for it. Yeah, it's one of those quirks that now the majority of the board is more than half of the entire board.
Because of the absences that we see so frequently, that's why I'm a little hard pressed to recuse myself on certain things.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Somebody else coming?
Excuse me. I'm not part of the board, I'm on zoning. But I would like to meet you, if you could.
I'm Beth.
Hi,
Martin.
Beth. Pardon?
Beth Martin,
Beth Martin.
Yeah, Beth is gonna be the secretary for both boards.
Virginia. I'm gonna
Virginia,
try to mental
yeah.
note this stuff here.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to get it. I didn't know if it was on your agenda, so.
I'm gonna have to ask. I'm gonna have to ask names. I know this gentleman's on. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Can I ask?
you know he's a.
That's Herbie the dentist.
Yeah, I'm zoning.
You're zoning.
Yeah.
So I got you over here.
Yep.
And your first name?
Mickey or Mitchell, whatever
Mitchell.
you want.
Okay.
It's, you know the show at Christmas time,
You don't even know the name of it.
Herbie the
You don't even
dentist.
know
He's
the name of
Herbie
it.
the dentist.
Okay, I know. I got you. I know that.
Yeah. What's the name of it?
Rudolph.
Rudolph the
It is
Red-Nosed
Rudolph.
Reindeer.
after you said
And-
Call the meeting to order.
Justin?
Peter.
Okay.
Stand real quick.
There's 2 Peters.
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, unfortunately, I do have to leave by 7:35.
Okay.
So I just let you know in case there's something to be voted on.
Yep.
All right.
So,
Ew.
get to the minutes here. August minutes, we did not have any for the planning board because we did not meet on the planning board night. We met on the next Monday, which was the zoning board night. I have the July 17th minutes here. I'm gonna hand them to our new secretary and we'll have she can write them up and have it formal for our October meeting, and we can actually vote on the minutes. And I think we're only missing June. I'm trying to think when Mary left. I think there's one other month that's missing. So that's when Mary left, and I gotta get, she sent me one file that had some notes So I gotta go through and see if that corresponds to what we did end of June.
I requested, I did request it, and she just told me, no, you're on your own, I'm not helping you.
Okay.
But I tried.
Yeah, no, so that's what I have to look through her, there was nothing formal, so I gotta go through it, just see what it looks like. Did everybody get a copy of the map that I sent out? Okay, I gotta add you into the email, I don't have your email, but I'll get it.
Okay.
I'll get it.
If she got it, I didn't get told that she got it, so.
Well, it's just out.
I
Yeah.
pretty much know.
Cause I didn't send the changes that Matt brought, cause I had that file, for whatever reason, my email would not send anything over 25 megabytes or whatever it was. And his file was 25.7 or something like
I
that.
have no idea how it got that big, but
Yeah.
the one I sent you was it's the same
Yeah.
map, but for whatever, I think because they had.
No, the map was fine, it was
Yeah.
his corrections. Not the, it was
Oh,
the body.
okay.
So,
Oh,
so
okay.
Matt sent back to us, corrections, and I would say 80 to 90% of them were grammatical errors and, indexing a paragraph, stuff like that. There was a couple items where they're just replacing the town or the planning board with the zoning board, the way that the, special use permit.
That's why we said the
Yeah,
special use stuff.
we had it wrong, we had it labeled under the planning and it should have been under the zoning, so it was little things like that. Carl has,
I have made all those editorial changes, so if you look on the website, I sent the corrected version to Larry. So he has the one with all the changes that came back from Tug Hill that we made. You should also be able to find a copy of the map there. There's a copy of the definitions, which is, I think, Appendix A. And there should be a copy of all the dimensional requirements, which is the big Excel spreadsheet that has all of that stuff on it. I sent that. Now, there's an older one there. There were a couple of changes I noticed when I went through it that I was still referring to bed and breakfast types 1 and 2, and we've changed that to bed and breakfast and short-term rental now. So the new one will reflect that.
so that, I think putting it on the website, if everybody's comfortable looking at that, is easier, because that way if the files are, it doesn't, it won't get bogged down in email and spam, right? 'Cause
Is there a problem with the website?
there's 2 websites.
Okay.
So you have to, not refresh, but there's a towpath one that is not active anymore, right?
No, the digital
Or the-
towpath
the-
is the current
Okay.
website. That's the one that's currently
Yes.
active. The Old Town of Western website has been inactive really for a couple of years because the webmaster was
Yes.
really not getting
Because I
anything
spoke
done.
with a webmaster, it's a good friend of mine, and he said there's like some missing links, and there's some issues with the, come up with it in my head here. Can't pull it up on my
If you
phone.
Google Town of Western to come up, you just have to go to the one that says digital towpath, and that will get you.
Coding errors, that's what he said.
Yeah, if you go to the one, the digital towpath, that's the one. that'll
That's
get
the
you.
one I sent him to, and he's,
Oh, Larry Merrick is in charge of, we don't
Yeah,
put anything on there, we have to send it to him.
yeah,
and
he takes
sends
care
it.
of putting stuff on there. And it's just, you send him a document, and he goes on and he adds the document to the list of stuff. that's
Okay.
there. He doesn't really code much of anything else that's on there. That's all
Okay.
digital towpath's doing.
I just thought maybe that was the problem with getting things.
In our last meeting, we went over the environmental assessment form, and we kind of read through all that. I don't know if everybody's familiar with that, so we're just, Carl's got a couple of handouts here.
This one.
I will take
If
you,
you want
Mickey.
to see that.
I'm not afraid of Mickey.
Yeah, last meeting, I sort of sat here and read this entire thing out loud. And when I went back over the sample that we got from Tug Hill as to how, I think it was whichever town it was that did their secret review on it, I noticed I had left out a couple of things that are in the EAF that we're supposed to consider. So what you read on this thing now is basically the same introduction as last time that says, okay, here's why we're here. Here's the authority that this thing is under. And then if you look at it now, all of the questions that ask, is there an impact to this or that or something else? All of them are answered on here. And I put enough text in here so it pretty much covered what the board actually discussed, as opposed to just saying, you know, impact to this, no impact. And then down at the bottom it said, you know, the determination has been prepared in accordance with, you know, all of the legal requirements for it. So I figured tonight we could read back over this, and if everybody's happy with it, and we can make a motion to adopt this as a determination, and then we should make another motion to adopt or to approve the 3 environmental assessment forms. The first 2 we've already talked about, I went over those last time. That's basically what's in the determination. The third one is just the form that you use to make this declaration, and this is just the justification that goes with it. So once we pass all of those, I'll have, with the exception of the corrected map that Tug Hill is gonna send, I'll have everything I can assemble and get over to the county planning board, because we have to have the 239M approval from them before we can even recommend this to the town board for action. But those are basically the final steps that we have to complete now. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it is no longer an oncoming train.
Carl, can I, just a question? I don't know the answer, and I'm not trying to be a nitwit about this, but under J, impact on aesthetic resources.
Yep.
You got right at the end, last sentence, controls for building height, signs, etc.
Yeah, those are.
I know we are trying to get rid of
Yeah,
all the
no, those are,
accessories.
that's just an example of the things that we're looking at that allow us control over the aesthetics so that there is no negative impact. That's
So
all
the
that does.
etc. doesn't matter.
No, it's
Okay.
just part of our determination that says, yeah, we didn't.
This document isn't gonna be on our zoning.
Oh,
This
No.
is just an answer to the state's requirement of filling out this form.
okay.
Yeah, what we're in the process of doing, Mickey.
So we're not gonna get hung up
Yeah,
on that.
now we
somewhere.
basically have a final draft of the actual zoning law.
Right.
That's on the website.
Right.
There is a final draft of the definitions we're using in the zoning. That's on the website. There is the latest version of the map that would become the zoning map. And there is, it's probably not the latest, I've got to double check, of the dimensional requirements, which is the big Excel spreadsheet. Those will comprise the law.
Right.
The
This part, nothing.
Yeah, what we're doing now is doing the state environmental quality review, which we have to do, okay? The 3 forms here is the environmental assessment forms, 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
First one is just, okay, here's what we're doing. Second one is, here's our estimate of the impacts. The third one says, here's our declaration of no impact. This supports that. These, once we pass this and do the Form 3, I take these, I put them on the DEC website. Post that said, we reviewed it, there's no impact. And then the secret stuff is done. Then the only thing we're waiting for is to send the documents over to the county planning department, because they have to review it for us. And once they come back, they can either send comments or they can just say, yep, looks good to us. At which point, we as the planning board can then basically write a letter to the town board and say, we have, completed the full drafts of the proposed laws, and we are forwarding them to you for town board action and passage into law.
So the DEC will not look at this and say, oh, wait a minute, we don't like.
No, they're not an interested party. The county is the only interested party that's allowed to review it.
Okay.
I will notify, let's see, as a courtesy, we're supposed to notify the town of Lee, town of Ava, town of Boonville, Steuben, and city of Rome. Do we border on Floyd?
Yes.
Okay, then town of Floyd. I will just send them an email and said, we're in the process of finalizing our new zoning ordinance. Here's the website where you can go read the documents. As a courtesy, we're giving you the courtesy of allowing to review the things, but we're not required to do that. It's a courtesy.
How did that get resolved if there's a property on both? If the house is on, like, the western side, then that has to go by western code? Or if it's split,
I
then
believe Matt
it's the
said it's
majority.
actually,
It's
it goes-
negotiable.
The land goes to the least regulated town, or I don't, that's not the right way to say
Yeah.
it.
Well, for example, if you go down Sly Hill Road, there's the house that Terry Prosper built, it's set way back beyond the gravel bed. The town line goes through the house. His bedroom lies on the side of the town of Lee. So the resolution was, that's where he spends most of his time, that's who gets to regulate the property.
No.
As far as the house is concerned, so they get to assess it and tax it, and we don't.
Really?
Yeah,
We don't get any part of it?
yep.
Hey, listen, I'm at a meeting. I'll call you back.
Well, I have no idea whether we actually have an assessment on that land or not. Steve Hunter would have to answer that for you.
We've got another town over there in the housing development. The road is in the town of Leicester. As soon as you step about 3 feet into his driveway, it's town of Lee.
Town of Lee, yeah.
We do everything for him, but yet he pays his taxes to Lee.
So that apartment thing, that if that ever gets going,
That's good, no, there will be buildings of that complex that sit within the town of Western, and there will be additional buildings that sit in the town of Lee.
We'll probably have-
Because they're individual, because they will be individual structures, we'll get to tax the ones that are in the Western, and they get to tax the ones that
But
are
we'll
in.
actually probably work with the town of Lee,
Yep.
zoning and planning, and we'll both have to, in case there's a difference.
compromise somewhere.
We're gonna have to
Lee-
get some new chairs before that comes along.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have, because it's an apartment complex, even, and I'm guessing they're probably not gonna start anything before the ordinance is passed.
No.
The planning board has the right to a site plan review. So we can look at anything they're planning on doing within the town of Western. And that's road access, the one apartment complex, they're supposed to have an office and like a clubhouse there. So we'll get to review that site plan, and we'd probably do it in conjunction with the town of Lee. So
We're
we
road
may-
access, but it's a county road.
Yeah, we may even have a joint meeting with their planning board and talk about the whole thing.
And actually, because their buildings, it's not like, no, I think the one building actually dissects the line. I was gonna say,
It was close, but yeah,
because even if they did have something a little bit different, their buildings can have, but our codes aren't that, they're still gonna be building to a state code.
Yeah.
So it's not like,
They're gonna be pretty close.
yes.
yeah.
We'll just have to work with Lee and good.
Yeah, they're gonna be more concerned with, I mean, because they'll have public water access there, so they're gonna be concerned with septic systems, because they're gonna have to have septic there.
Their own Rome septic doesn't get up in.
There's no home sewer up there at all, you know, not even close.
There's water, but no sewer.
Yeah.
And the trouble they got there is their perk is actually too good.
So basically, Carl typed up everything that we discussed last week, or last meeting. Do you want to just highlight some of the things that you brought up that you missed?
Yeah, there were a couple of things that I didn't cover last time that are in the form. For some reason or other, I left out impact on air. And it just said, you know, the new law is not gonna create any physical uses of air.
Yeah.
And the control within the zones allows for regulation of those impacts. I didn't have plants and animals, so there's no actions or restrictions under the new law. What was the other one I didn't have? Human health. Yep, create no impact on human health. Pretty much everything else was already in there. And the only reason I wrote this up was because if anybody wants to argue with the evaluation that we put in the actual form, and basically just check a box that says yes impact, no impact. If it's yes, there's things you fill out below. The only thing we have checked yes is, do we have any historical artifacts? I said, yeah. You know, we got the Floyd House and we've got the Town Hall, but there's no impact on that since we're doing this.
How about her?
But see, you're mobile, you don't count as real estate.
I don't have rooms.
Yeah.
That's it in one. Okay.
So I don't know if anybody has any questions about that, as far as, you know, moving along with that environmental assessment form.
Who does, we don't have any zoning here, call on, any, like if somebody builds a little factory, everything goes by code, but they're spewing whatever into the air. What does that fall under?
Codes.
That'd be
New York
strictly
State codes will cover all of that.
Okay.
You got, see, just like with the helicopter, for instance, anything over 1,000 gallons automatically becomes a DEC regulated tank that has to be through their
For like
process.
fuel.
Yeah,
So if you were an industry coming in and your discharge is under 2.5 pH or above 10 pH, you're automatically going to go into the state. The town can't say, you know, you're okay, but at 11 you got to stop. So the state has standards for all of these industries. Either it's water temperature, it's pH, it's, you know, all that is
Carbon,
covered.
whatever.
Yes,
Yeah.
all that is covered under.
That's nothing to do with zoning.
and that all falls on poor Scott Bush's shoulders to
Right.
enforce.
So if, for instance, I'm gonna start electrical plating or something on the farm, and as soon as he hears that I'm discharging something, he's gonna immediately, the DEC gets involved and, you know, because they can't expect us to be
Up on all
experts
that.
on all
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, plus, we always have the option, is if there's something presented to us that we don't feel comfortable looking at and approving or making comments on, we can hire an outside expert. We're allowed to do that, and we charge whoever's asking for permission to do it, you know, for the cost of doing that. That's part of the process of getting a
So it
permit.
doesn't fall on the town, it falls
No, it does
on
not fall on the town.
the ask.
The applicant is the one that has to pay for, you know, for outside review and stuff.
We just never had to deal with that because we never had,
Yeah,
you know, nobody's ever come in here looking to discharge or looking to build any.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I'll do under my license, but, you know, reviewing air pollution and water controls and stuff, I don't touch.
So,
It makes it simpler for us
Yeah,
yeah, that's.
and keeps us out of trouble.
yeah.
You say, talk to DC, talk to the
Right.
state, whatever.
Yeah, that's like if they don't de-ice helicopters, but if they were, then they would have to, the solution would have to be between those ranges of the pH. You know, or they would have to.
Plus, the nature of the de-icing stuff
Yeah.
is such that they would have to show how they contain it. And it
Yeah.
doesn't run off into the adjacent land, blue
And
wells and stuff.
But
The
that,
cost of it, they're gonna contain it anyway.
Yeah.
but that would be nothing that we have to worry about. So,
That's good.
so basically what Carl did was just put in the language what we did last week. And it's just another step in the clog of getting up the ladder, another rung in the ladder, getting, you know. So if everybody's happy with what they see, as for an explanation, it's just one more, we can, entertain a motion to actually have this with the definitions with this paper and just move it on to the next step.
Okay, well, let me do the first one. I move we formally adopt the determination of the environmental significance statement for the town of Western zoning law.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, now, I move we approve the environmental assessment form parts 1, 2, and 3 as completed.
Those are the very same forms that we went over
Same
last
forms,
week.
same forms going
Last
over
meeting.
last time, and they're on the website too. If you ever want to see
Approve environmental.
them. Approve the environmental assessment forms, parts 1, 2, and 3.
Do I have a second on that?
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Carl's gonna make the motion, I'm liable to second.
So, I think the
Okay, so
next.
now, I will post these on the DEC website, and that'll be the end of the seeker review process, since we determined no impact.
So the only other thing I would, town board members are aware that the draft is out on the website.
I'm assuming they're
Yeah.
keeping track of what's on there. I know Larry's aware, because he put it on there, so,
We're not gonna formally send this to them tonight.
no, we can't.
No.
We have to
it's
wait
not,
till we get the
right.
county 239 back before we can do anything else.
I just wonder if we should just send them a letter or a statement that, hey, in the next month or two, we will be sending you a draft
Yeah.
of what we're working on.
We can notify them that,
If
you
you
know,
would like
we've,
to check it out,
yeah,
the
we've,
updated draft is,
yeah, we formally completed
Yeah.
the seeker review as a no impact. The finalized documents are available on the website for your review, and as soon as we receive the county review on it, we will formally recommend it for the town board action. I'll let you do that under your name.
yeah. No, I don't think you have to make a motion to that, we'll just. 'cause it's
Yeah, we
not-
just do it, yeah.
So does that need to be in the minutes?
Yeah, because I'm gonna ask you to make a letter to them. We can either email to them, or that we're just keeping them appraised of where we are. So we had passed these two motions tonight. The most updated draft is available, or Larry has it to put on the website, and we just encourage the town board members to, you know, start to take a look at it, because we hope to send them the final draft version. Actually, I don't like the word final, because it's not gonna be
Yeah,
final.
it's, well,
Submitting them. Right.
well, we can send them the final draft that says, we're done.
Right, and then we
And
just.
then they would accept it as a final, you know, they would take that and make it a final
We're
draft.
just sending them a
So we're,
unfinalized document
yeah,
they can look at.
they will have copies of the final draft from the zoning board, from the planning board. Made available on the town website.
After we get the form from the.
Well, they're on there now. And just say, what we're waiting for right now is the completion of the Oneida County Planning Board 239M review process. And once I can now get this stuff to them, they have 30 days. But Matt Johnson said normally they don't sit down and read 70 pages of draft and 15 pages of definitions and stuff. They say, looks good to us, go for it.
So if you're gonna sneak something in, put it on the last page.
I mean, the little Easter eggs that people throw in.
So, yeah, I have,
Second to last page.
um,
Read the last page.
an old business, we have not heard anything more from the solar company on Andriggs, and nothing about the proposed apartment complex on Rumney Hill Road, and there's, the only thing we had was one correspondent from somebody up on, I sent you that email, Quaker Hill, was
Oh, about
lot line
the
adjustment.
lot line problem? Yeah.
So that was basically a lady needed, her brother owned the land next to her, and she needed another couple feet because the building was not where it was supposed to be, and we just did it. But they asked her if it was a subdivision, and it does not qualify for the subdivision.
Was that from the attorney? Come on.
Yeah. Yep. So that had, there's no, it's not a subdivision, they're just.
Nothing for the planning board to do.
Nothing to,
Yeah, right
for
now,
me to take note of.
right, yeah, see, right now, the current subdivision regs in the town say until you go to the fourth piece of property that you pull off the thing, it doesn't require a plan.
Now, gentlemen, I have to leave. Anything
Yes.
else to be voted
Okay.
on?
Nope.
Sorry about
Really pretty much,
No,
yeah,
you're good.
really.
Have a great night.
Have a
Thanks,
good
Pete.
Thank
evening.
you. So that was, it was a simple little,
That
Basically.
subdivision thing, that's kind of statewide, pretty much.
Well, the individual jurisdictions can define what is a subdivision. We could literally define it as, you take one piece of property, divide it in half, that's a subdivision, which is really kind of dumb, because it makes a lot of work for the planning board. Or you can make it, you know, you can divide it in half, but the third one then becomes a subdivision and requires a site plan. And that's all that requirement is, you have to have a site plan, show us what you're
But
doing.
we did change that so that, all right, you got 50 acres, you split it in half, 25. Now that 25 acres kind of becomes on its own to be able to be.
Yeah, if there's a different
subdivided.
owner of that one,
But the
that's,
first 25 acres is still under the,
that's still under, yeah,
right,
yeah, it still
through the
counts. It
original
doesn't-
owner, yeah.
right, well, they did one.
Right, but both parcels, both parcels are at one. It
Yeah,
doesn't start over on the next parcel.
All right, I see what you're saying.
So in old business, there's no, word on the apartment complex where?
Elmer Hill Road.
The solar farm's gonna be a long
And we've had
drive.
no contact from the solar company at the Anderegg gravel bed. See, Mickey, that'll be one of the ones where if they come in with all of this stuff, we may need some help calling somebody in to help us review it, because that's only 5 megawatts, and that falls under our jurisdiction, that's planning board and zoning board both.
Yeah, because it was actually probably gonna be 3 to 4. That's
Yeah.
what she was anticipating.
Yeah, may not be the full
Call in
5.
for something like that. Yeah.
I would have to find out what engineering firms specialize in the solar farms and stuff.
So we hire someone?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll look at what they're submitting. I mean, I'm a double E by education and experience and stuff, so if it's not too complex, and it's just a question of, well, here's the layout of the solar stuff, and we gotta check setbacks, and here's wires going down, here's how, that kind of thing I could check for us. But if it gets much more complex than that, you know, if they have a battery system and other than that in there, I'm not going for
They
that.
claimed they weren't gonna.
No, this is strictly an active feed into the distribution system.
That would be the biggest, is the lithium batteries, making sure that, you know, they're stored properly.
So if they go direct, it's almost like me having a couple solar panels and direct feed into.
Yeah, yeah, it's just a bigger version of that, yeah.
Yeah, they're just gonna have switchgear to protect the panels from the line and the line
And the
from the
line
panels.
for the panels, yeah.
That's all, you know, but basically the same thing you would have on yours. If you get a box this big, they're gonna have a box
Yeah.
this
And
big.
there's a control system in there, that once they don't have any sunlight, it literally disconnects itself from the grid. And once it's getting enough where they're actually generating power that they can feed out into the line, then they connect back up again. So I don't know if it's electronic or mechanical or what.
Is there any studies that these get hit by lightning any more or less or anything?
No more than anything else. They're really pretty low to the ground, so it's not like having a, you know, cell
Right.
tower sticking
Just
up in the air.
electricity part of it and all
Yeah.
the wiring and.
Have we heard anything more about any cell tower people wanting to come in and put stuff up?
No, I wish we would.
I wish you would too.
The only reason I ask is I was watching one of Don's videos, and one of the discussions at the town board meeting in June was people complaining about their poor cell service, and what's the town gonna do about it? Of course, my reaction is, the town's not gonna do anything
Well,
about
I
it.
brought it up.
That's a,
But
oh,
I
okay.
didn't
But
say, no, I just asked if the town could do something, because I've already gone right up, you know, I've
Yeah.
already spoken, gone up to Elise Stefanik, and I'm like, I know Claudia was addressing this issue, what are you doing with this
Yeah.
issue, you know? So I didn't know what the town, if the town, you know, would,
Actually, the best place to do that is with the Public Service Commission. Because they're the ones who regulate all that stuff.
Or switch to AT&T and it gets better.
I did that.
tried both up on top of the other, neither one was any good.
no. I borrowed it.
I've had
phone.
Spectrum, Verizon, and AT&T over the years, and they're all about the same.
I borrowed an AT&T phone after someone had said something about, you know, they had AT&T and no problem. So I'm like, can I take your phone to my house and hooked it up to my Wi-Fi, everything, whatever, you know, and, but once the power goes out, the Wi-Fi goes
Yeah.
out, you know, it was like, it didn't,
See, I've had track phone and AT&T and I've been, I mean, there's some dead spots.
well, I'm in the gorge. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
in the gorge.
I mean, you get up to the town barn or even the firehouse, you gotta pick a spot and then don't blink one eye when you find that spot.
Yeah. they don't-
I drove around. I drove around. I was
Yeah,
looking.
when you get into those areas that are shielded or whatever, the only way you're ever gonna get coverage is if they put a tower that's got reasonably close to line of sight back into that area. And that's the only way you're ever gonna get it.
Valleys
When I
and gorges
first
we
came
got.
out, those old brick phones, I bought one of those things and I could drive up to the gorge, I could go to West Line and Neva, and I
Go
could
up
get.
overhead, they were satellite based.
Huh?
They were satellite based.
So they work better.
Yeah,
All the,
They were also shorter wave frequencies.
yeah,
yeah.
they work better.
It was UHF to lower
There's less
satellite.
information that they have to send, so the signal can go farther because it doesn't have to send as much.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we go back to that?
Because they can't sell you on the ads and the
Right.
internet and all the stuff that they're trying to get you to buy.
Advertise, because it's slow. If you're trying to, you know, send out a video or pull down a video
Yeah, you
or even a big web page with a lot of pictures, it'll take forever. It was like using the old 14.4 modems, you know, the beep, 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 and then wait for everything to come down. You know, and then the 56s came out that was marginally faster, but not much, but
I'll tell you what works really good, you buy a lot of them,
Smoke signals.
GM OnStar.
Yeah, well, those are satellite.
Satellite.
Yep.
And if you were to connect up to Starlink, which is the, Elon Musk's thing up there, they're low Earth orbit satellites, so there's not a lot of delay, but you can buy whatever type of bandwidth you want off of those things, and you really don't have to worry much about it, because you get coverage everywhere.
But
See,
how do
now-
you get, how do you, okay, with GMC, it used to be I had a phone, and I could go. Now you can't. There's no phone in the truck.
I don't
You gotta pay for the next version up.
I mean, I had a brand new truck and I couldn't, there's no phone in it. And so you gotta hook it up to your own phone.
Yeah,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Bluetooth.
Okay.
Bluetooth connection that
And
ties
then
into your
and that's
phone,
where it'll go.
and it uses your phone, yeah.
But here's the thing that you really ought to know, and a lot of people don't. The county went to a digital system for our 911. It's the worst goddamn thing anybody ever did. You can't talk on them things. If you go in the firehouse, you got no communication. Even the trucks, you gotta be out in the parking lot before they'll communicate.
Problem is, once they go up into the UHF frequencies, they are strictly line of sight. That stuff doesn't want to go through a wall or anything else, so yeah, that's one of the limitations of going to those systems. Now, as far as things like either the fiber or the cable broadband connections, the county and the state are working on that through the programs that they have to extend broadband connection to all of the rural areas as much as possible. And they've actually made money available for it, so
Alls I
that
know
companies
is-
like Spectrum and Comcast and the rest can actually extend out. Even Oneida County Telephone now provides fiber. I mean, it's right in front of my house. No benefit to me to connect to that as opposed to Spectrum, but it's, it's there.
Oh, yes, there is.
I don't have,
No.
I don't have the access to Spectrum unless I wanna pay $4,000.
Have them bring that out, yeah.
And there's only 4 of us, 4 houses.
We'll somebody make a motion to adjourn since we're,
So moved.
I second.
Alright, so we make the
On
motion.
favor.
Carl, Phil seconded, all those in favor. We can go back to talking, but. No,
You know, go outside and tell Don.
no, I wish they would put one up on Woods Alley. Something,
Well, they were gonna put one up,
we approved it,
over by Webster Hill.
yep.
Yeah,
And by the time they went through we had just approved a height, and they wanted to go higher than that. And we were gonna give them all that, but in all of it, they decided to go somewhere else and didn't put one there.
they have enough money set aside, they only put in so many towers per year, and that wasn't one of them.
But they
Yeah,
don't,
so Ann was saying 5 towers a year.
but they don't.
5 or
do-
6, yeah, something like that.
They don't do by population. They are only concerned, the state is only mandated to them to do roads. So the thruway was covered. Then the interstates were covered. And then they did like Route 20, Route 5 is covered. And now the slow part is branching out to do 31, 46, or whatever.
It is getting sketchy everywhere. You know, one day you drive through and you have service, and the next day you drive through and you don't, you know.
Well, what's happening now is most of the providers like Verizon and AT&T and around, they don't build the cell towers.
Right.
There are separate companies that will go in, they will look for, they work with the providers and they say, well, we're thinking about, and then they go and negotiate for the land from the landowners, they actually build the tower.
Yeah.
And then the cell companies will come in, put their antennas up and actually use the tower, they basically lease the towers.
See, that's
One
your
tower
trouble.
works for different carriers.
AT&T, you're under them, because that tower on Whaley Road is AT&T on it.
Yeah.
But you're so close that you're under
You get
it.
it, yeah.
But they wanted a higher tower because they want to sell to the next carrier, the next run down.
I like my track phone.
So AT&T or whoever may put the tower up or the private, and the top spot is the highest generating, and then they'll offer the next one. And then they'll offer below that. But the problem is you got everybody driving around doing videos and everything, and it sucks up bandwidth.
It does, it takes a lot of bandwidth.
It shrinks the coverage area.
Yeah, so that's why you see when they went from, they went from cell service, they went to 3G, then it was 4G, then it was LTE, now it's 5G, which is a different type of radio system, and it's much more line of sight, so you're gonna see a lot more of the little antennas and stuff up there because they can't be too far apart. I think the most they can be like a kilometer apart and still get any kind of decent service. So there are gonna be a lot more of them up there, so,
In your line of sight is actually gonna be your in-home computer to their in-home.
Yeah.
It's gonna bounce off your computers, it ain't
See,
even gonna.
if everybody goes down to the state park and goes camping and gets on their phone, it kills our signal up here because it absorbs it before it even
it
gets
just
to
uses
us.
the bandwidth.
So on Sunday night, when everybody pulls out down there, you can probably talk, no problem.
Yeah, so the cell towers, there's two ways that they communicate. The towers themselves are a radio system. And as I tell people, so that's not a phone that you're carrying around with you. That's a good old-fashioned two-way radio that you got attached to your hip there. And those cell towers are the other part of the radio. Now they can connect two different ways. If you look at some of the cell towers, you'll see some of the round dish antennas.
Yeah.
Those are very, very high bandwidth, and they hop from spot to spot, or they connect up to a very high capacity cable. And that's how they get back and interconnect everything together again. So it's a combination of the two things.
But that's why when the radio system was being unused by the highway department, in this town, that worked everywhere. It done very, very good. And to not have that communication, and it's part of OPP, which the town's never allowed the guys to be OPP certified.
Yeah, it sucked during the storm.
But the new digital radios, they cost this county, I don't know how many millions of dollars,
Yeah.
$500,000 just for our
Yeah,
radios.
the difference with that is the digital radios, most of them are encrypted. So once you start talking, nobody you don't want to can intercept the stuff.
We,
I know state police and the sheriffs are, I don't know about the towns and the highway department.
well, the fire department, we're carrying analog and digital, because if somebody's inside a working house fire, our digital don't work for them. So now we gotta carry two radios and screw around. When I bought the 1951 pumper from them in '88, we got done with that. That had a radio on it. That was like 168 watts. In the last few years, we're down to 5-6 watts.
5 or 6 watts, yeah.
And it's,
In theory, that's supposed to cover as well as the other stuff.
here's the thing, Carl, I bought the 51 in '88. I bought the 85 to replace that 51. I bought that in '23.
I gotta tell you,
The 93 is gonna be for sale here, well, it actually is for sale now, I don't think I'm gonna be ready for that.
It's set so far, I think that's what it's looking like. But I don't know for 100% sure.
I must be on
All right, well, hey, zoning board people, we will meet next week. I'm not sure how much we're gonna have to.
Okay.
We will meet.
Okay.
Did your wife pop you in yet?
No, I was trimming Christmas trees and I started Friday morning, I got done Friday night, and I wanted to wash my hands ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did. She did, yeah.
You did? She got it?
I think I got hooked by a branch or something.
Well, it did there.
Gee, Mackie, at the board meeting the other night, we
I
both
wasn't there.
me and her were in the front
everybody.
row there. And she separated away from me because she didn't want to be in line of sight with that post. I says, how are we gonna start our rumor if you and me if we're separated? No, she's saying, well, moving back.
Anything on zoning, I got people calling me all the time for that.
I have a key.
I do.
Do you,
You gotta lock up, right?
Don,
Down
connect
the
it.
cameras.
No, you don't come in,
Well, I gotta get my thing up there.
it's not our problem.
That table, that easier, what? Pete was polite and turned him around, I had a piece of paper. We won't leave you, Beth.
No, we won't.
Alright. Thank you, appreciate
This place, when the lights go off, is freaking spooky.
it. Nothing scares me.
You hear all the ghosts upstairs.
Nothing scares me.
I'll bet you'd hear noises in the night in
I'd
there.
say hello.
it's like they're talking out loud, or thinking out loud, and they just kind of dump it on the road. And